Challenges of full-time solo van life. Really appreciate you watching this video today. So let's get right into it. So just a little bit of background in case you're watching my videos for the first time and meeting me for the first time. From 2013 until 2021, I was a full-time solo female van lifer living out of the same 2001 Ford E350 camper van that entire time with my dog, Rochelle Claire, who has since passed. She actually passed away the last year that I was on the road full time. May her soul rest in peace. So today I want to talk about some of the challenges, 10 of them to be exact. So a lot of the challenges that I will talk about really actually have to do with challenges that I had. You know, being a full-time van lifer, I did experience some challenges, but overall, the reason I call them challenges instead of cons is because challenges are just that. They don't have to be the end and be all and like close the door in one's face from van life. No matter what we do in life, there will always be challenges. It is the human state to be challenged. If you are human, you are challenged from the first breath until the last. That just seems to be what it is. That's why there are inventions like meditation to help ground us, because if you don't, you can lose your mind with the amount of challenges and become overwhelmed in life. So I have found in these meager 49 years, at least in this life, thus far. So, challenge number 1 to solo van life: money. Okay, so this has been my personal challenge. Not everyone is challenged by money. I just happen to be one of those people that is challenged with money, and I have worked very hard through meditation to shift my money mindset. But when I was on the road, I had a lot of anxiety around, putting gas in the tank, having money for repairs. Actually, I wasn't so concerned so much about the van breaking down as I was about having the money to put gas in the tank. So, and I didn't have a brick and mortar home to go home to, if the van broke down. So my strategy to save money was to sit for as long as I possibly could before starting the van up again, which has its other challenges. Vehicles need to be ran at least once a week. I would sit sometimes up to 3 weeks just to save money. So finding work on the road, if you're not tech savvy, if you're not a digital nomad, then you're dependent on work camping. There's like Amazon, being on your feet 10, 12, 13 hours a day. There's the beet harvest, which again, they work it like a dog, and you got to be physically able to keep up with jobs like that. There's camp hosting. Some of them are paid. A lot of them are volunteer. I personally wouldn't want to volunteer as a camp host. If I were to ever do camp hosting, I would want to be paid, you know? So, but I have refused to do any kind of work camping, and perhaps that was my downfall. I've been starting to think about it more seriously, though, since being a digital nomad has been a big challenge for me personally. I know there's some people that make millions. Um, having a good money mindset is absolutely number one for beating those money blues on the road as a solo van lifer. Challenge number 2, moving around. So, and this isn't just for van life. This is for, anyone that wants to live out of a vehicle full time or an RV. You are by law, you have to move, every week or every 14 days, whatever the rules are for the public lands that you're utilizing. You have to move. So And, it's best to follow those rules, so that other people can enjoy the forest. And also, if national forests and BLM didn't have those rules, unfortunately, people abuse the land. They litter, they dump their waste, and you know, it's a miracle, to tell you the truth, that we even have public lands to do dispersed camping on, because in a lot of countries, nada. It's not allowed. So we're very fortunate to have our public lands. So, um, and it can be very stressful to have to move. I know I found, when I was running low on money to put gas in the tank, I would sometimes get stressed out, having to move constantly. So it's good to have a couple of routes. The longer you get into van life, just having those routes laid out so that you can just move. Like every time, a good strategy for moving is, when you need to resupply and go find a new camp. It just kind of naturally can flow into that. So it doesn't feel quite so stressful. All right. Challenge number 3. This kind of goes with number 1, but, constantly having to refill with gas. And depending on how far you go, and then with gas prices, that was a big stressor for a lot of nomads this past year. I know in California it went up to like $6 a gallon. And that stressed a lot of nomads out, especially people on a fixed income or extremely low income. Um, a lot of people were anxious about putting gas in their tank when gas prices rose. So that's a stressor. Challenge number 4 of full-time solo van life: weather. Weather can be so unpredictable, from flooding to earthquakes to tornadoes, no matter where you're at. I know here in California, it can be flooding. It can be not tornadoes, thankfully. Earthquakes. I actually missed the earthquake of 2019 here in Ridgecrest and Trona and the surrounding area. I was on the East Coast, so lucky me, because I saw videos and heard the stories of people that were here in Ridgecrest and how frightening it was to be in that earthquake. Freezing cold, intense heat. These are uncomfortable conditions. Being in a vehicle, being in a van, being in a Prius, being in an RV, what have you, weather is a challenge. And the best solution is, I have my Max Air fan, and then I have a favorite route in the Eastern Sierra that I follow, where I follow the seasons so that I avoid really extreme weather pretty much all year when I can follow that route. Number 5, breakdowns. This is probably the biggest fear of any nomad, no matter what vehicle. But, in van life, I personally did not give in to the anxiety and fear of my van breaking down. I really trust Evergreen Queen. That's my van's name. She has never broken down on me in all, how many years has it been now? 10 years, 11 years, going on 11 years. She has never broken down on me. Now I have limped into auto shops. And yes, that can be cause a lot of anxiety. Yeah, so breakdowns. And I would say the biggest fear is a breakdown that you can't afford to fix. And what if, God forbid, you had to live out of a backpack because you didn't, have the resources to get another van or get the van you have fixed? So that can be a big fear factor right there. Stealth camping in the city can be very challenging. Noisy neighborhoods, intense traffic. Sometimes you just have to city camp. I know, when I have traveled up and down the Eastern Sierra, when I have to go to the doctor's and I have to be there early in the morning, I have to city camp. And, it has stress. There's stress involved. I'm wondering, is anyone watching me? Where do I dump my pee? Stuff like that. Where do I dump my little porta potty? Well, I know where to dump, but, if you're in a new city, sometimes you may not know exactly where to dump. But, yeah, that's a big challenge. Challenge number 7. Out of 10 challenges of full-time solo van life, I would say prejudice. Like, people are prejudiced of people that live alternative lifestyles. Our society tends to look down at people that live out of their vehicles full time. There are laws in many cities where people can have their vehicles taken away or be fined for living out of their vehicle. It's really crazy. Thankfully, I've been in areas where I've never had to deal with that. So, but that's a big challenge, a big stressor right there is people that are just prejudiced. You walk out of your van, people give you a look like, "Ugh," like you're dirty or whatever. So, it's helpful to look, always be clean and well groomed. That helps, but people will be people, right? They'll always be prejudices, and alternative lifestyles like full-time van life is one of them. We don't all look glammy like on Instagram. I know I don't, and I don't care about that. Maybe someday if I have the resources and can do a total makeover, hey, why not? That would be that would be great. But right now, I'm just content with what I have and who I am at this point in my journey. Challenge number 8, water. Water is not unlimited. We have to haul our water with us. So let me just show you real quick here. Bring it upside down. So I fill several of these water tanks here. So I have 3 6-gallon, and that smaller one that I just showed you, a 3-gallon. So let's see, 1, 2, 3 times 6 is 18, 19, 20, 21. So I can haul 21 gallons of water. And I have been known to squeeze out 3 weeks of sitting in my van with just that amount of water. That includes bathing, dishwashing, and staying hydrated. So it's doable, that goes along with being frugal and minimalistic. Those are some of my favorite words. Number 9, challenge number 9 of full-time solo van life is keeping your mental health, keeping a healthy mindset. I know towards the end of my first stint. I do plan on eventually someday going back to full-time van life. But during my 8 years on the road, there were times when I struggled with high anxiety. So towards the last year of my van life, I got into meditation, and it totally helped. I highly recommend meditation. Let's see, Jeffrey Allen does some really great healing and meditation exercises. You can find him on YouTube. Let's see, Oprah Winfrey. I actually was inspired by her. She meditates 12 minutes a day, probably longer now. But I started off doing like 10 minutes. And when I was doing full-time van life out in the desert here, I was meditating up to 45 minutes. And it just did tremendous things for my mental health. It really helped heal me. It helped totally mellow out, ease out the kinks of my anxiety, which were mostly around money. Money and success have been my probably one of my biggest struggles in life. And with recent events, it continues to be one of my biggest struggles and challenges. I'm not afraid to admit that, because I know many of you out there today watching me here and now share that struggle. So we're on a journey on how to have a better mindset for money and how to attract money in our lives. Finally, we come to challenge number 10 of full-time solo van life, being lonely. So even when I Now, I had a dog during most of the time that I was on the road. Now, I had to put her down in 2021. She lost all mobility one night during a seizure, and I could not lift her. And it was a very sad day to have to put her down. It's really, really sad, but it was the best, most humane thing I could do for her. She was suffering. She was in pain. She couldn't relieve herself anymore. I had to, you know, she really helped. It really helps to have an animal on the road. It helps stave off the bite that loneliness can have. We are humans. We are designed for community and being with each other. And I would say during my first 4 years on the road, I really didn't experience a whole lot of loneliness. But I would say the second half that I really missed people, and I would think about, how can I get back into community again? And like, I couldn't afford to get down to the Southwest desert where the nomads meet every winter, in Quartzsite and Ehrenberg and Slab City and Holtville and, Yuma, that whole Southwest desert with multiple little small towns and cities, but millions of full-time and part-time RVers, van lifers, schoolies, you name it, Prius livers and lovers, they all gather, and I couldn't make it, and I missed them so badly. So this year, actually in January, I managed to get down to Quartzsite when I was still working my desk job. I had the means to be able to travel down there, put gas in the van's tank and head down there. And it was just wonderful. It was so great to see my old friends. And I created a video with Simply Lisa. Check that out in my video section. And we had a look at her Jeep build. She lives in a tracker Jeep, an adorable tracker Jeep. And the woman is a master at frugality and minimalism. You can learn so much from her. Check out that video. I'll try to remember to put it up here today when I'm editing. And I also did a video with Lisa about her hair. Like, she has long, luscious, beautiful long hair. She's a woman in her golden years, and she has hacked just washing her hair once a month with only water. And so there's a video about that. Check that out as well. So, but it really helps to have a community to be plugged into. And I highly, highly recommend checking out. Now, the big goal my first year on the road, the main thing I wanted to do was make it to Rubber Tramp Rendezvous, which was founded by Bob Wells. You can find his channel, Cheap RV Living, on YouTube. Highly recommend. He shows you how to do all kinds of conversions and builds and how to live life full-time out of a van or any vehicle. So check out his channel. But my goal, my first year on the road, was to get to Rubber Tramp Rendezvous, which I did. And I ended up being mentored by Bob Wells himself. Now, he doesn't do that anymore, I don't think. He's very selective now that he's famous worldwide. He's got worldwide fame now. He can't help millions of people learn how to live out of their vehicles. So I believe he may handpick a few people here and there and mentor them, but he's got bigger things on his plate now. So I was really privileged and honored during my first year on the road to literally hold hands with Bob Wells and learn how to do this lifestyle. So, the best thing I can do is to pay it forward. And that's a big motivation for me doing this video today, is to give back to my community, to help build this alternative lifestyle. I mean, we live in a crazy, crazy human race. I mean, it is out of control. I can't stand watching the news. It is so out of control. It makes me crazy. That's one of my motivators for running away in my van, is to not have to hear the news, not have it blaring in my face. And if I see comments, like if I see it coming up on my Facebook, delete. I don't want to see it. Just maybe the highlights, the things that are going to directly affect living. That's fine. but I don't like to be drowned in the drama of human drama continually and constantly. So van life is such a refuge, I found, to get away from the maddening crowd and the insanity of humanity. I love humanity, okay? And I need my space. And I know probably a lot of you out there are thinking and feeling the same way, you know, and a lot of people are trapped. And, like I wouldn't say I feel trapped right now. I love my boyfriend. I love being with him. I love having a home base. Um, but I do miss being solo and having my time to do whatever and whenever I pleased with it. There's pros and cons to everything, from being single to being partnered. So it's never going to change being a human being. That's why meditation, I highly strongly recommend meditating. For every single one of these, meditation is the answer and solution. At least it has been for me. Okay? And I think you and I were both built the same. We both have these brains that run us ragged. Meditation is really a wonderful solvent, salve, balm solution to quiet that nging, 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 nging. And all of these challenges, you can welcome them. You can thank each one of them. So, and another solution for all these challenges is gratitude, being grateful for what you have today. And I am grateful for you. Thank you for watching today. Check out the next video that pops up, and I'll see you in the next video.